I'm 76 years old, and I lost my children. Please, don't do this. I need you to, honey, I really need you to understand what I mean by that. I was in the house. I was sitting right there at the dinner table. I drove them to school. I showed up to the games. If you looked at our family photo album with these tired old eyes, you'd think, well, that's a good father, he was there. But there's a difference, a terrible difference, between being in the room and being present. And I didn't learn that difference until it was just too late. My name is Harold. Like I said, I'm 76 years old. I had 3 kids, 2 boys and a little girl. They're all grown now, families of their own, and they love me. I know they love me. But there's a distance between us, a distance that I built with my own 2 hands, brick by brick, over about 30 years, maybe more. And the worst part, the part that keeps me up at night, is I didn't even know I was building it. Let me tell you about the park. Every Saturday, I would take my boys to Willow Creek Park. It had this, how do I describe it? This big wooden playground with a slide and a tire swing, and this sandbox that always had way too many ants. And every Saturday, I would sit on that green metal bench near the drinking fountain, and I would watch them play. Watch them, not play with them, just watch. I'd sit there with the newspaper, or later, my phone, and I'd look up from time to time and see them climbing and laughing and chasing each other. And I thought I was being a good dad. I was there, right? You know what I mean? I brought them to the park. I watched them. I kept them safe. But I never got off the bench. Not once. I remember my youngest's 7th birthday. Or was it his 8th? No, 7th. We had it at that very park. My wife made a chocolate cake with dinosaurs on it because, well, that was his thing that year. All his little friends were running around, screaming, having the time of their lives. And there was this moment. He came running up to me, his little face just covered in frosting, and he grabbed my hand. He said, "Dad, come be the dinosaur. You're the T-Rex." And you know what I said? I said, "In a minute, buddy. Let me finish this." I was on my phone. I don't even remember what I was doing on it. Probably nothing. Probably checking something that could have waited a whole lifetime. He went back to his friends. He found someone else to be the T-Rex. And that was that. A minute. I asked for a minute. That single minute turned into 30 years of minutes I never, ever gave back. My wife, God rest her soul, she used to say to me, "Harold, go play with them. They're asking for you." And I'd say something like, "They're fine, they're having fun." Or, "I'm tired, sweetheart. My back aches. I just worked all week." And she'd give me that look. You know the one. That look that wives give when they know something you haven't figured out yet. She was right. She was always right. Those boys weren't just playing. They were inviting me in. Every time my youngest yelled, "Dad, look at me," from the top of the slide, that wasn't showing off. That was a hand stretched out. That was a little boy saying, "Please see me." And I'd look up, give a thumbs up with these heavy hands, and go back to whatever I was reading. By the time they were teenagers, they stopped asking. You know what's interesting? I remember every article I read on that bench. Stock reports, sports scores, political nonsense. I remember all of it, but I cannot remember the last time my son asked me to push him on the swing. Because I wasn't paying attention when it happened. There was a last time, and I missed it. My daughter was different. She didn't ask me to play. She asked me to listen. She'd come home from school and start talking about her day. Who said what? What happened at lunch? Some drama with her friends that seemed like the absolute end of the world to a 12-year-old. And I'd nod along. I'd say, uh-huh. But I was thinking about work, about bills, about things that felt so urgent at the time and mean absolutely nothing now. She told me once, years later, after a few too many glasses of wine at Thanksgiving, "Dad, I stopped telling you things when I was about 14, or maybe 15, Nace, because I could tell you weren't listening." She said it with a laugh, like it was a joke, but her eyes weren't laughing. That sentence still keeps me up at night. Where was I? Oh yes, I tried to fix it. I really did. After my wife passed, I started calling my kids more. I'd call my oldest boy every Sunday. At first he seemed surprised. Then he seemed careful, like he didn't quite know what to do with a father who suddenly wanted to talk. We'd go through the same script every time. How's work? How are the kids? You eating okay, Dad? And then the silence. That heavy silence where a real conversation should be, where stories should be, where laughter should be. But we never built that muscle. I never taught him how to talk to me because, well, I never talked to him. Not really. One Sunday he said, "Dad, I got another call coming in. Can I call you back?" He didn't call back, and I understood, because that's exactly what I used to do to him. You teach people how to treat you, and I taught my kids that I was always busy, always distracted, always somewhere else. So now, they are too. You know what my biggest regret is? It's not the career stuff. It's not the money. It's not even the marriage. We had a good marriage. My biggest regret is that I was in the same room as my children 10,000 times, and I was somewhere else entirely. My body was there, sitting in that chair, but my mind was always at the office, always solving problems, always planning for some future that I thought was more important than the present. And now the future is here. And you know what it looks like? It looks like quiet Saturday mornings. It looks like an empty park bench. It looks like a phone that doesn't ring as much as it used to. Last month, my son brought his little girl to that same park. She's 5. Same age he was when I used to bring him there. They replaced the old wooden playground, but the bench is still there. Same green metal bench. And I watched my son sit down on it and pull out his phone. And his daughter ran to the slide and yelled, "Daddy, watch me!" And my old heart just stopped. Because I was watching my own life play out again, 30 years later, like a movie I already knew the ending to. But then, something happened. He put his phone in his pocket. He got up. He walked over to that slide and he caught her at the bottom. And she laughed so loud the whole park could hear it. I sat on a bench nearby and I cried. Not because I was sad, no, because he broke the cycle. He did what I never did. He got off the bench. I see other young fathers at that park too. Some of them are still on the bench, staring at their phones, just like I was. And I want to walk over with my aching knees and shake them and say, "Get off the bench, get on that slide, push that swing, listen to the dinosaur story, listen to all of it, because there will come a day, and it comes faster than you think, when nobody asks anymore. And that silence is the loudest thing you'll ever hear." My son called me last week. We talked for about 10 minutes. It was nice. He asked about my health. I asked about the grandkids. It was polite. It was pleasant. But you know what it wasn't? It wasn't close. And that's on me. I built that distance, one Saturday at a time, sitting on a bench, reading things that didn't matter, while the only things that mattered were 20 feet away, begging me to come play. If you're a father watching this, young or old, hear me. Being there is not enough. You have to be present. You have to get off the bench, because one day, the bench is all you'll have left.